A mom apparently thinks I should let her child hit me. I'm a preschool teacher. Oh, I've got some fun stories. Today, a mom put in a complaint about me. Her kids are twins, 3 years old, and they're an absolute mess. I love all kids, but these two are something else. Their names are incredibly similar. First of all, picture a parent naming their twins Candy and Mandy or Mackenzie and McKinley. So these girls don't know their own names. They both think their name is Mackenzie. They came into my class not potty trained, they barely know any letters and colors and have a low vocabulary even though they have an older sibling, both parents, and a nanny taking care of them. They hit and shove each other, pull each other's hair and try to stick their fingers in each other's eyes. They have literally stepped on my other kids to get where they're going because they're so used to always having their way. One of them, McKinley, can be cute and I had already made progress with her. She's using the potty by herself now, knows a few colors and is starting to respond to the correct name. Then there's Mackenzie. This child literally clutches her pearls and looks offended if I ask her to do basic things, like clean up her toys, go potty, or line up for recess. She gets angry if she's told to say please, screams chicken. If she doesn't like her lunch, and says no. While giggling to everything she's told to do. Now I would speak to her entitled mother at pickup about the behavioral issues, but even I softened it and didn't tell her everything this kid does. M would insist that all of their behavior was because they speak 2 languages. Sorry, Mackenzie knows exactly what go potty means, she just doesn't like to do it. So last night, she was throwing a bigger fit than usual. I told her she could stand up and walk to the potty or I could carry her, but laying down and kicking her feet wasn't an option. She didn't get up, so I picked her up and took her into the bathroom. I gave her a minute to stand still and calm down, then told her again to use the potty. She immediately slapped me hard in the arm. This was the first time she hit someone other than her twin. I made her go potty and sat her in the library away from the other children cause she was still throwing her tantrum and I didn't want her to hit another kid. I take hitting very seriously, so I told her she needed to sit until she could be nice again or until mommy got there so I could talk to her. Mackenzie kept screaming and stomping, so I left her alone to cool down since my sitting by her was only enraging her more. QM picking up. She was rushing to get her screaming kids out, so I only had time to tell her that Mackenzie was sitting out of the group because she hid and wasn't being safe. M asked why she'd hid and I explained it was because she was refusing to go potty again. M said, Mackenzie, no, you need to be nice and rush them out. This morning when I arrived, M was in my boss's office throwing a fit and demanding the twins be removed from my room. I wasn't there for the conversation, but my boss called me in later to talk about it. Apparently M described last night as the teacher put Mackenzie in timeout for not going potty, which totally was not what happened. I was on the verge of a panic attack all day because I didn't know what was going on or what I had done wrong. My boss was fine with it once I explained, just told me to make sure I'm conscious of how things look to parents when they pick up their kids. The twins were moved to the other preschool class, and at the end of the day I overheard the teacher crying to the manager because M had bawled her out over something too. The woman cannot handle her children getting any kind of discipline whatsoever, but unfortunately schools have schedules to keep to and we can't spend 45 minutes waiting for your child to decide to go potty on her own. When she first enrolled them, she asked my co-teacher if we could spoon feed them. They're in preschool. Their classmates speak in full sentences, draw detailed pictures, count to 30, say the entire alphabet, and some can write their names already. I'm so hoping M just pulls them out of the school, cause if she tries to put them in my class again I'm not taking them. I'm not going to put my entire class behind because I have 2 children in my class who I'm not allowed to teach. Story 2. Just wanting to vent about my mother. Hi Reddit, I, 34 meters, am just wanting to vent a bit about my mother. I'm not even sure that I would really categorize her as a truly entitled person, except that she tends to feel entitled to being viewed and treated in a certain way. Fair warning, this may be long and will certainly be rambly. Also, I'm not writing because I need advice or anything, I'm used to handling her, just sharing some stories for morbid enjoyment. So, I have a couple of instances where my mom has made a decision that negatively impacts how a lot of us view her, but she seems to think that she can decide when she shouldn't be held accountable, I guess. For them anymore. I am just going to post a few highlights here, and if there's a call for it, I might share some more. I will balance some of the SHT with some good though, because I don't believe she's all bad. For the first story, the good, my now wife, 35F, did not grow up in the best environment. We met in high school, and she was already smoking and drinking with a few drug use instances thrown in for good measure. Her mom was not a strong-willed person and my wife was easily able to push her around and have her way of things. My mom opened our home to her, when we had only been dating for a few months at the time. She provided a more stable environment and a much stricter rule set that was overall a really good change for my wife, and helped her to sort out some of her destructive habits. Now the bad: within the first couple of months of her living with us, my mom was telling me how awful she was and how she wasn't really good enough for me. Proved her wrong by later marrying this woman and still being happy with my decision after 13 years of marriage, but this showed me, without a doubt, that my mom could be extremely two-faced, as she treated my wife like a newfound daughter and best friend whenever she was around, but would always make sure I knew how she felt whenever she wasn't around. It is only after I had had a few years out on my own, out from under my mother's thumb, that I learned how to speak up for myself and, especially, to talk back to my mother. Another story, but this one I will weave the good into it in a more fluid way, as there isn't a way to box it out like the last one. My mom called DFS, that's the Department of Family Services, for any non-Americans reading this. They are the people who can take your kids away if they decide the environment or treatment of the kids is dangerous, on us, telling them that we were starving our second son. Sounds bad, I know, but I truly believe, or at least choose to believe, that she was only worried for our son. He was born a bit on the smaller side, and wouldn't gain weight, and in fact, he was losing a few ounces here and there. My mom came down for a visit shortly after he was born. My wife really wanted to breastfeed, her mom hormones were practically demanding it, and the doctors who checked that stuff all seemed to think she had enough production. I'm sorry to all the women, I don't understand this part well enough to speak on it with anything like brains. We were seeing the pediatrician weekly, keeping an eye on his weight, trying different things, trying to figure out why he wasn't gaining. Super stressful for us during this period of time. Then we also have my mother down staying with us, which almost never helps matters. We were adding in formula at this point, in between breastfeeding sessions, to see if maybe my wife's production just wasn't keeping up with his needs. This has been a decade ago now, but, if I remember the day correctly, my wife had just breastfed and we needed to go to the store. My mother offered to keep him with her while we went. We didn't think too much of it and accepted. We weren't gone too long, but after we got back, my wife took the baby in to lay him down for a nap, and my mother cornered me in the kitchen to tell me how we were starving our baby and how she had given him bottle after bottle of formula until he flat refused the bottle anymore. We would find out the following week that all of our issues with his weight were due to him having a milk allergy. We swapped to the dairy-free formula and he almost immediately started gaining. Of course, he was sick and spitting up like crazy the rest of that day. My mom went home a few days later and within a couple days of her getting home, we had DFS at our door. Of course, when they got done doing the home inspection and seeing all of our copious paperwork from the doctor's visits, they knew that we were not abusing/neglecting our child, and no more came of it legally. However, we knew immediately who had called them. When she cornered me to tell me what she had done while we were out, I had explained to her that that wasn't acceptable and told her what we had been doing, how we were working with the docs to figure it out, and how she had probably caused discomfort if not harm by giving him so much formula when his body just was not used to having that stuff very much at all. Again, we wouldn't find out until the doctor's visit after she left that a milk allergy was to blame. I'll wrap this post up now, as it is starting to get really long. I understand why she made the DFS call, and I understand that, as my mom, she believes that she knows best who is good enough for me. But understanding them doesn't make accepting or forgiving them any easier. This culminated in a fight with her this past Christmas, which is what has stirred me to write this post in the first place. She ended her tirade by saying that she is done paying for petty stupid bullshit and done being hurt by my son because he doesn't have the balls to say no more to his wife. She said I should let my wife know she needs to be civil with my mother. I have many more stories, and if there is any interest in hearing me gripe, I will share them. If anyone even reads all of this, please, feel free to share your insight. I might just be a bit too close to it.